Hello everyone, and welcome to the First Song Project. You may recognize this one before. I'm going to go over everything I did here, and then we're going to continue. So, this is a song, doesn't really have a name. I called it Untitled. So, as you can see, I removed the D. Again, I just kind of make weird names sometimes. I'm going to go over what I did. So you are able to do exactly the same thing when you need to make a song. So I think the first thing I go over are, which one should I do, drums or melody? I'll probably go drums first. So these are the basic drums. We'll listen to the pattern here. So what's happening here is the kick drum is actually playing along with the rhythm of the melody. And I think in a lot of music, especially trap music and stuff, that often happens. The kick drum plays along with the rhythm of the melody, not the notes, just the rhythm. It kind of gives the melody more power and everything. Then you have the closed hi-hats here. Again, it's like the sprinkler system. You can solo that, so you only hear that. Again, this is always kind of like a sprinkler system, right? It's just kind of more complicated hi-hat pattern. I didn't go crazy with this one like I sometimes do. I just kind of made it basic because I don't think the song really needed something like really crazy with different notes and speeds, and yeah, you don't really need that. And for the snare, we just have it pretty sparingly. As you can hear, there's like reverb there that just kind of ends. So we're gonna change a whole bunch of things with this song as well. That's one of the biggest things we're gonna do to improve it. Because this is a song that was just thrown together. It wasn't necessarily mixed or mastered at all yet. Just some effects were put on, and yeah, things aren't really EQ'd. So we're going to do that now. So that was a drum pattern. When it comes to making drum patterns, you really just got to throw stuff on the page and then keep putting them together until something sounds nice. And then when you do put it in the song and other things come around, you'll probably change the drum pattern. But one thing that you really should do is once you have a pattern, a basic pattern, you see all these patterns I have, most of them are drums. That's why I don't really give them any names. But you just keep going here, going to patterns, and then click clone. If you click clone, actually I'll just show you, it doesn't matter, clone. Boom, nothing seemed to happen, right? But this is actually a clone of number 6. So we were just at number 6, now there's a clone, right? I'll get rid of it for redundancy's sake. Delete. There, what you want to do when you make your first drum pattern is clone it a whole bunch of times. Because as you go through your song, it'll be really boring if it has exactly the same drum pattern the entire time, right? Then we just have a clap to kind of add to it, I guess. It adds to the pop of that snare. As you can see, there's another snare here. Just, it's actually the basic Fruity Loop snare, which I keep using sometimes because of the EQ. Like I can EQ it, and it actually gives quite a lot of punch to the snare. To the whole snare and clap setup. You feel like it's just kind of, it hits pretty hard. That's like the sort of punch that I like to have, right? So all together. There's so much I'm going to do to these to make them sound better. I'm kind of excited actually. Then we have all this guff here. I've been over it before. This thing here is simply a sample that I've taken from somewhere in my packs. Probably this trap folder here, just some sort of thing. It's a sample that I have shortened. Remember to keep stretch off. When stretch is on, I'm not even going to touch it because everything else will stretch too. That's the worst thing. Yeah, if stretch is on, it changes the length of it, and then it gets slower and the notes get deeper, and oh, you don't want that. So keep stretch off, and then you can actually like trim it like this, right? Depending on your snap settings though. I'm on step, but if you want more accuracy, you can go down to I'd recommend fourth step unless you really need to put on none, because often you'll forget that none is on and all of your stuff will be completely misaligned and you won't even know, because usually you're working kind of zoomed out here. You want to be able to see all your stuff. Also, as you see, my workflow is pretty, I guess you'd say, disorganized, and I like to make kind of artistic patterns sometimes when I'm doing my muzak. Like usually you'd want to remove this tail of the symbol here because the tail end still has sound and it interrupts everything else. But in the beginning I figured I'd just leave it there because I kind of liked how it looked. But now we're gonna, this is all so quiet that we really don't need to have a tail. I figured it would happen to all of them, but it didn't. So let's select them all. Select them all. Everyone that I used. Then, since they're all selected, I can shorten them all in unison. So I think this is a more acceptable tail length. Even here is fine, but I think about here will be fine. Because, like, for instance, there's no overlap now, right? And even overlap with these things will just muddy up the sound a little bit. So you want to try your absolute best to clean up the sound wherever you can, right? You want it's about clarity, cleanness and clarity. Super, super, super important. Same with this one. If it rings out for a long time, nip it in the bud. Especially if you're not going to hear that ring over the top of a whole bunch of loud stuff. Get rid of it. That's what I got to say. So, more over the song structure though. First, I started with an intro, which has I actually just had this pattern here, which is just kick, kick, right? And then what I did here, control mouse wheel, zoom in. This one is simply this one. See, pattern 11, but I shortened it. And stretch doesn't affect patterns whatsoever. You don't even have an option. They're not sound clips, right? So, and remember, if you click something that you already shortened, you can then paste it as its own thing, because it's intended for you to do this to make everything more easy. So then I put normal pattern 11 and I made something called pattern 12 by duplicating this one and then just adding one here and here. That's what I did. And what that does is it's kind of like a really mild kick drum build up. So next thing I did is somewhere in here, or maybe there, somewhere in here, maybe Music Radar trap samples here. Music Radar is great because they have so many free samples everywhere. But yeah, I think I went into loops. Nope. It was probably FX. Yeah. These pitch fills here. I use pitch fill number 6, right? But listen how this has pause. Like that. Not sure why it does that. Maybe it's for a purpose, but if you right click on this, it solos it. You don't even have to go into a menu, just right click. And when I play this, you can hear that I remove the silence. You see? Because I really didn't need. Just sounded weird. So anyway, this is pretty important for trap music as well. Then we have vocal snippets here, which I think I got from this. Maybe vocal snippet is what it's called. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where I got that one, but it is from one of these, and it's kind of pointless to go searching through here, just wasting your time. But it's just a vocal snippet from one of the things that will be in your FL Studio folder, because, well, because I'm including it. This one I also shortened, because this last one didn't really fit. But what it is someone almost saying you or something, but I figured it fit with the beat to try kind of build up to where everything happens. So next up, we got some texture here. What this does is it just fills the audio space, because if you only have like a few things, then everything feels really not professional and kind of dull. Because there's not enough space filled. So what this does is it just fills up the space. So See what I mean? Be kind of annoying on its own, but together with everything else, it fills up the space that is blank and makes it sound more professional, right? Next, we got another one of those things, just to make the build up a bit more complex, actually. You see? You always got to add these things. That's one of the biggest use for samples. Every producer uses samples, ambient samples. Just it doesn't matter where they get them from. They can make it themselves, but you don't want to go into a synth and make one of these every single time you need one, because it would take 100 hours to make a simple song, right? You can make a 100-hour song go into maybe 10 hours total work if you just, you know, swallow your pride and use some samples. But you shouldn't even have to swallow your pride. It's fine. Everyone uses samples. So a lot of new producers have a gripe with that, but do not. Samples are fine, man. Use them as much as you like. Make your entire song out of samples, because you can clip them like this. A lot of people do that, you know? Like, think about Somebody That I Used to Know by Gotye. He actually he used samples for like the whole song. Like the doom 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 in the back was an excerpt from this like old Mexican jazz song or something. Just something really obscure. And yeah, he just cut out that sample. It's fair use because it's below 10 seconds, and threw it in his song. No credit or royalties given to the person he sampled it from. That's just how it works. Under 10 seconds, you're good. Well, I just had a sudden phone call and kind of lost my train of thought, but I'm pretty sure I was going on about the ambience here. So I'll just listen to Films as well, which is just another one to fill the space. That's it. I kind of like this one. It's so swimmy and cool. Yep. Then here you remember automation. We got automation for these. Just pattern 10. Okay, pattern 10 is a remake of the first two notes of pattern 8. And I just decided to use the first two notes of pattern 8 in a different arrangement as kind of the intro, as like a foreshadowing for the main course, so to speak. Then we got the first drum pattern, pattern 6, I showed you. Then we got pattern 1, which is kind of a slight variation of that. So, oh, it's all right. Started playing the song with a bit of chance. Oh, if you're wondering why it's like all messed up, it's because I cut it off in the track to here, and then when you open it up, it cuts it off on that as well. So just right click. Oh, well, it didn't work, did it? Just click on this with the square select tool, and it will go away, and then you can play it without it being weird. Here. See what I mean? So that's the next drum beat. And then you got pattern 3 here, which is without the kick drums, because I have a separate kick drum on the bottom that has like a really neat pattern. And I explained that kick pattern in another video, how it sounds wrong when playing on its own, but then when played with everything else, it sounds amazing. So I'll highlight that again. I'll show you that. So again, the same sort of hi-hat pattern. The hi-hat pattern in this song really takes a back seat, because yeah, hi-hat in this one takes a back seat because it's just not as much of a main element as it is for some other songs. Like Wiz Khalifa's King of Everything has a sort of panning closed hat sort of sound to it, and it really takes like a sort of front roll. But this one, the hi-hat is I don't know, it's there to sweeten the pot, let's say. It's there to sweeten things up a bit. Then I have this crazy panning pattern here. So left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, like that. With the left one being slightly quieter, just to give it some sort of neat effect. But anyway, I'll play the low bass here though, just to show you how it doesn't really sound right when it's on its own. But then I'll play it with everything else and you'll see what I mean.